Chapter 8 of Music is a Virus, read by the author. It's becoming extremely difficult to think in this atmosphere, Brendan commented to Booth as they walked back to the steps together. Booth looked thoroughly spooked, turning his head at any mention of music or a dance move. They walked into her office, but immediately stopped when they heard several of Brennan's graduate students who had come to review their papers with her singing "Get Your Head in the Game." Booth slowly backed away, hoping that slow movements would be less likely to attract their attention. "Excuse me," Brennan said, pushing through their graceful choreography that included the dancers dancing with skulls. "I'm sorry, but I won't be able to review your papers today due to a consultation with FBI. However, I hope to be in my office during regular office hours on Monday. Unless you schedule an appointment with me before then, I'll see you on Monday." The music trailed off, and each student tucked the skull back under their arm and headed out. Brennan called out after them, "If you signed out anything from bone storage, please put it back, and remember to stay in the quarantine parts of the lab. Thank you." Booth entered the office when he felt it was safe. The students were gone, and Bones was already at her computer. "When do you think we'll be able to get the info on the cell phone?" he asked, as Brennan scrolled through the x-rays on her computer. "Normally I would say that we have all the information before the end of the day, but that's looking less likely by the moment," she responded. "We will likely have any electronic information that Angela can pull from the phone long before Hodgins will receive the results of his tests." She squinted at the computer screen, and Booth smirked. "Squint," he said affectionately. She turned to look at him in confusion, but quickly dismissed his outburst and turned back to the x-rays on the screen. Booth sauntered over to stand behind her. "What are you looking at?" he asked out of boredom. "These are x-rays of the right hand. See the glass shards and their placement? I'll get Angela to run a simulation, but by the way these shards are placed suggests to me that she was holding the glasses in her hand, but not together with the ceramic beads. The ceramic shards are on the outside of the right hand, and there are a few embedded in the skin. According to Hodgins' report, the majority were found on her shirt. Well, the glasses are probably from the killer, because they're bifocals, so, like, an 18-year-old wouldn't need them, and if she was returning to them when she was killed, she wouldn't have the chain and the glasses in her hand." "I don't know. I don't carry bifocals around for people," Brennan said absently, moving from the x-rays of the hand to the profile of her cranium. "The angle of this fracture suggests that her neck was broken on impact." "She didn't experience any pain," Boo said softly. "It would have been quick." "The fetus wouldn't have experienced any pain either," Brennan added, her voice not as professional as she wanted it to be. "I would have thought that this was an accident if she hadn't been found in the props container. And if it was an accidental manslaughter and not first-degree murder, why cover it up like this? I mean, whoever it was had to know that the box would be opened soon," Booth thought out loud as he paced his partner's office. "And I'm not sure about the timeline either," he continued. Brennan swiveled in her chair to watch him. "She came into school on a Sunday afternoon. She talks to Zeke at the school and tells him that she doesn't want the child because of some opportunity that she has just learned about. A few hours later, she responds to her twin brother with a text. If we see the timestamp of the text, we can pinpoint the time that she was alive. But why would she stay at the school all day? Can Hodgins narrow down the time of death with his bugs?" "I doubt it," Brennan says. "I know that when he comes to time of death, he tries to be as specific as possible, because our cases often rest on his evidence. But we can go ask him." They moved over to Hodgins' desk, Booth hovering over the divider, and Brennan stand professionally off to the side, waiting for Hodgins to notice her. He noticed Booth first and smiled at him, and then turned to find his boss. He took out the earplugs again. "What can I do for you?" he asked. "Is there any way you could narrow down the time of death?" Booth asked, picking a pencil out of Hodgins' "The Truth Is Out There" mug, where he kept random things. "Well, the presence of Calliphoridae puparia and row of beetles indicates that she has been dead for over 20 days. The ratio of puparia to beetles suggests 24 hours, but there's a 6-hour margin of error. Due to my highly developed techniques," he paused and took a playful bow, "that would place time of death between 1 and 8 on Sunday night 3 weeks ago." "So you can't narrow it down any more?" Booth asked. He began tapping against Hodgins' workspace rhythmically. "Sorry, man," Hodgins said, watching as Angela approached. "Dude, the tapping," he said in annoyance. "Yeah, sorry," Booth said. He quit tapping and put the pencil back into the mug. "Hey, sweetie," Angela said, waving at Brennan. "I rigged something that will work in a pinch with a battery. I'm ready when Hodgins is." Booth started drumming with his fingers on the frosted glass divider that separated him from the rest of the lab. Booth, you're still tapping, Brennan commented. He stared at his hands in horror, then exchanged a horrified look with Brennan and Hodgins. Angela grinned from ear to ear. I'll have the phone for you in a few minutes, Angela, he said. They all watched as Booth shoved his hands forcefully into his pockets to keep them from betraying him. Angela, would you be able to tell when the battery was taken from the phone? Booth asked idly, watching Hodgins work. He swung his gaze over to Angela and started tossing his poker chip into the air and catching it. Not after this long, Angela responded. You know, it's getting harder and harder to think around here, she said, looking around the lab. Some interns, including Mr. Vincent and Nigel Murray, were dancing up the stairs, singing something about bopping to the top. Yeah, we're getting nothing done. It's getting worse. And who knows who will be next, Hodgins said mysteriously, laughing at Booth's expression. Booth began tapping the poker chip nervously on the glass. Hodgins was waiting for his solvent to clear before he poured off the supernatant, and he thoughtlessly clinked his glass stirring rod against the metal tray in time with Booth's tapping. Angela picked up the beat and began humming Sharpay's version of What I've Been Looking For. Suddenly, she burst into lyrics. It's hard to complete our work when we sing, because we're close in proximity. Wish I was alone so we can work, because Booth will shoot us. This feeling's like no other. I know what you mean. I never had a job that makes me feel brand new the way you do. Finally, Brennan couldn't stand it anymore. I can't complete anything with this singing, she exclaimed as she stormed off. Booth followed after her, glancing nervously behind him at the duo still singing and dancing. As they left, Angela and Hodgins heard the music fade. They stopped dancing, laughing at their antics, and with slow dawning awareness, they noticed that Hodgins' hands was caressing Angela's hip, and Angela had her fingers curled into his short hair. They broke apart suddenly, Hodgins turning back to his solution and Angela walking awkwardly back to her office.